Hi, my name is Anju Moon, and I'm the director of the movie I Am Woman. I'm really excited to be back here, especially to be screening at the Busan Film Festival. It means a lot to me because this is my mother country. When I was a young girl, I went to kindergarten in Busan. This story with Helen really was by chance. I wasn't really looking for another movie to do on a musician. After I'd finished the project with Tony, I happened to be at an award show in Hollywood. I was at a table and there was a woman sitting there, but I wasn't sure, and when I found out it was Helen Reddy, it just really reminded me of how powerful that song is. I remember growing up in Australia and the women in my life, my mother and her friends, listening to that song and just how it made them feel stronger and bolder as women. And that chance meeting of being with Helen that night really sparked my interest of telling her story, which I thought was quite an extraordinary untold story. Nobody had ever made a movie about it. And it was on a very tight budget and schedule. And it was challenging in Australia because we had to make Sydney, Australia look like Los Angeles, New York, Washington, Las Vegas, and all in the 60s, 70s and 80s. I think I was really lucky because the cinematographer is someone I know very well. He's actually my husband. So we actually got to really intensively work together because we were together 24 hours. He's not just my husband, he's a very good cinematographer. When I first started the film and I thought of the song I'm Woman, it reminded me of what happened in the 1970s with feminism. But as I started developing the film, things started to change in the world. The Me Too movement happened, the women's marches happened, and it really struck me how, when I was at the Washington Women's March, I could see people holding up signs that said, "Hear me roar, I'm strong, I'm invincible." I mean, they're lyrics from the song, and I realized that people remembered the song, but also how relevant it was going to become to a new generation of women who had not grown up with that song. It's amazing that half a century later, it's really relevant, but it's also a little bit sad that we're still, as women, still fighting for all the same things. Rosemary Blight, who's my producer, and we would sit in a lot of meetings with men. There were no people making decisions who were women. And it ended up being kind of like a scene in my film. There's a scene in the film where Helen goes to the record company and they all laugh at I Am Woman and say, "Who's going to listen to that song?" And that song ended up becoming like such an incredible bestseller. And when we were talking about making this film, we sometimes went into meetings where the men around the table would say, "It's an interesting story, but why does anybody want to watch that film?" And we would think, that's so interesting because, as women, we all thought it was such a great story and something that we would want to go and see. And already in the screenings that we've had, we've seen that the audiences of women have just loved this movie. And I think that young women now, young filmmakers, they have so many more opportunities to tell stories in different ways. Experiment in other ways with a podcast, making a video, putting it on YouTube, even being able to set up an iPhone like this and being able to film something. There's so many other ways to tell stories now that can get you ultimately to telling longer stories and bigger in bigger films. I think that one of the very important things in my life is I have my mother. She never made me feel like because I was a woman or because I was a migrant that I could do anything less than anybody else. I guess if you ask me, did I ever feel any discrimination? I think that subconsciously that maybe I wondered whether as a woman, and especially as an Asian woman, whether I could be a director. And that what I wanted to do in directing films was possible and open for me. When my I'm Woman will be opening in the theatre in Korea, and I really hope that a lot of women, even if they don't know who Helen Reddy is, will go and see this movie, because I think it will make them feel inspired. I think that's one of the reasons I really wanted to come to the Busan Film Festival, because I really wanted to represent not just my movie, but to represent women and Asian women directors as well. I think there are lots of really talented directors coming through, but I think it helps to be able to, you know, a young Korean girl who's maybe studying film or even in high school and dreaming of making movies. I really hope that just seeing someone like me at the Busan Film Festival really inspires them to be able to reach for their dreams. Korean women in the audience, and I think it's really important for them to be able to see the director and to see that I'm a Korean woman who has really told a story that I think is important. So I really hope that by doing something like that, I also hope it will be inspiring for people in the audience when they see me talk about the film, not just to be inspired by the story of the movie, but maybe to be inspired by my own personal story. I really hope you enjoy my film, I Am Woman. I really hope that you will feel inspired by Helen's story and want to take that inspiration and make a change for yourself, for other women. And at the very end of my movie, there's a very beautiful song called Revolution, and the words are, "Here comes the revolution." And I hope that maybe in a very small way this film will help make those changes. Let me add something. I think that now I lost my train of thought. We can do the next question. I'll come back to it. Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say.